Good morning, Tijani. Good morning, and welcome to the FinTech table. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Michael. Thank you very much for asking. How are you too?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. So, FinTech table actually is a place whereby we give opportunity for FinTech startups to tell their stories, and it's an opportunity. It's a place where we also give opportunity to our listeners to learn from people who had gone through a whole lot and have decided to survive and thrive in this competitive environment, which is FinTech. So today we are going to be discussing with no other person than Tijani Olatunji. He is the founder of One My, and he is a growing startup in Portugal, and he has done something great and fabulous. We'll be hearing from him, and we'll get to hear his stories. We get to hear how far he has grown One My to, and where he wants One My to go to. Tijani, can we know you today? Tell us something about yourself, how you can introduce it to our audience.
Ah, well, okay. So if we're gonna start from there, something about me. Uh, my team call me a human machine. That is because a whole lot of us founders are, we are workaholics. We tend to, put a whole lot of things on our tables and all that. Yeah. So, but of course, I am building in the fintech space. We at the at our growth stage right now, where we are acquiring customers. Over the years, I have also been, I've been like a two times co-founder. I have supported my home country in building technology solutions, that for people who really needed some of these solutions, especially with a former organization where I was, which is Primate eHealth. We did a lot of migrations, digitizations of the healthcare facilities for quite over 5 million people. And then I moved to Portugal, and then we also so we up. I mean, solution providers always find problems in different verticals. So upon identifying one of these problems around here, which has to do with somebody like me who also lived, who has also lived this problem that we are solving for the diaspora communities in particular, we started building stores for ourselves. So basically, that's me. I'm a team player. I love my team. I love creating valuable solutions for people.
Thank you, Tijani. So when you look back, right, and you've seen all that you've achieved, all that you've done, what's that one thing, one experience that you've had in your childhood or your upbringing that made you get to where you are today?
This one, I'm going to give it to my mom. Coming from a family of business built machines, the family. My mom was she played a very vital role in ensuring that we were business centered, business focused, and she started instilling that trait in us from a very young age. So I was practically a manager of businesses from a very young age. So where I was able to, we were controlling a very huge departmental store. So that was one
Hmm.
of the core things that built me in particular, and most especially my siblings to be who we are today.
I would say I have same experience with you. I was as a child managing my parents' business, and I
Exactly.
think that interaction with my parents and my mom and my dad had given me that nudge to always start to build something, to own something and not just to work for someone. I see that you transitioned from an employee to a founder. I know it's not easy. What was happening in your life and what made you to decide, say, now this is the time. I need to stop working for someone. I need to start building.
Oh, um, I mean that's a very important. That's a very interesting part of my life. I mean, I was in consulting. I was like in PricewaterhouseCoopers, which was a fantastic environment for you to learn to grow. But years ago, I just realized that okay, I could practically create something of my own, not just being about creating something of my own, but being able to move at my own pace. You know, that was one of the major things that made me transition, and I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I see the needs. It was I don't know how that particularly sunk in over the years, but when pastors tell you that they had a calling, kept it kept ringing in my head. In as much as we were very vital people in the ecosystem where we were back in the days. With my bosses, we were very important in our work environment. But of course, when you have something like a calling, and then you realize that there is a whole lot much more that you can offer. So that was one of the things that just moved from working for somebody, and since then, I've only always been, uh, I've always seen myself as a valuable addition, not just an addition to a workforce, but a valuable addition in terms of partnerships, in terms of collaborations, and in terms of value proposition.
You said a calling. I love the word calling.
Yeah.
What exact moment do you know? Oh, this is the time. Some pastors will say, "Oh, they got that calling." One of the pastors I used to follow said, and I heard the voice, and he says, "Now go, it's time to liberate Africa." What was that moment that is the calling?
Okay, I'm gonna say this one. I came back from work when I was in Abuja. And when got back from work, I had this very comfortable black couch in the living room. And of course, it was a very hot season at that time. The temperature was over the roof. Then when I got in, my tie was still on my neck. I dropped my laptop bag. I got on the couch, and then I just dozed off. Then a moment later, I woke up and I realized I was sweating all over my face. I realized I did not put on the AC and I was sweating, and I'm asking, like, so why did I get home and I pass out so much that I could not just stretch a hand to pick up a remote control and put on the AC? And I'm like, dude, you gotta take it easy, yeah. And that moment, I looked at some of the things that I have also been considering, especially creating technology solutions. That particular moment was the moment for me where I felt Um, in as much as I loved what I was doing back then, it was a wonderful work environment. I just felt, oh, I think it should be time for me to be able to do stuff at my own pace. It was as simple as that.
Sometimes we need that freedom where we can do things at our own pace without putting the whole day hours for someone else, and then we pass out or we.
That's right.
I agree.
That's
So
right.
I just want to just dig deep back into your former career. You built or something that you've built before we come to um one mile. I saw you built a platform whereby you aggregated farmers and you
Yeah,
had
yeah,
over
yeah.
60,000 farmers,
Yep.
connected 300 businesses. How did that idea come and what was the story behind it and how is that business today?
Well, anyway, so that wasn't particularly a project that I started. My very good friend Sharon in Nigeria had the ideation for Plumber Box. So Plumber Box came to the limelight when she approached me, and then she told me about this problem that she saw, and how we might be able to come together as a team to form be a team to create the solution. So the problem was in the fact that there was a gap, there was a loophole between taking in Nigeria. There was a loophole between taking products to getting products, farm produce, from the farm to the businesses, right? So our business model was particularly B2B. So when she reached out to me, there were so many people like moving farm produce from the farm to the businesses had so many things going on in between that line. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see, you go to the market, you are paying for these toll fees, you are paying for the space. There was just a whole lot going on there. So we talked about how it was gonna be easier for these businesses, restaurants, cafes, organizations that needed farm produce on a regular basis, you know, starting from, different things, different produce that they were using on a daily basis, the grains, the uh, chickens, the poultry, feed, everything in that restaurant space. And then we just wanted to make it a whole lot more easier for us to, for the restaurants to get their produce uh, as easy as possible. So we got into it, started, but when we jumped into that industry, we of course, like every other startup, we started realizing that. There were some problems along the line. There were problems of insecurity. There were problems of, the availability of produce, also. Then we started introducing other things like the what they call it? What was uh what was that stuff we created where people can come in like a marketplace, right? Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
So we created like an instant online marketplace where some farmers will just go on the platform, put their produce. You
Mm,
see people come in there to come and bid for it. Just the same way you're gonna have it with platforms like Stock Exchange and all of that.
yeah.
Immediate bidding, immediate delivery, and that's also created a very fast uh, moving consumer platform for both the farmers the uh,
The
and the
restaurants. Yeah. Oh.
yes, and the businesses in general. Yes, so I mean, I wouldn't call it restaurants because there were different customer
Mm,
segments. So and then we had partners. We partnered with the federal government, we partnered with some local government, state governments, and we were able to pull out some numbers. We partnered with the Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria, and with the help of all of this support coming in from all these organizations, which also includes getting on uh, Wema Bank's hackathon, Alcoholics, at that point in time, Alcoholics 2.0, and Greenhouse Capital, where they gave us a little bit of funding to be able to support our operations. And we were able to generate some good amount of traffic and that side. So that's where you see the numbers came from.
nice, nice, nice. Did any of this impact the way you run business today? And was any of this the reason why you started on One Mile? Why did you start One Mile? Having seen the success in the former agri business and you could see the growth. So what was the inspiration for starting One Mile after did you get a skill that had been transformed or was transferred to One Mile today?
So all my life journey has been a accumulation of, you know, different skill sets. So, I mean, I can function as a project manager, I can function as a product lead, I can function as an operations guy, and all of this, I have functioned in different organizations on a C level, which I have gathered over the years. I
Mm,
mean, starting from when by the way, mind you, my bachelor's is in industrial chemistry. Almost immediately after uh, my bachelor's, I switched to, IT. That was when I started developing technology solutions and all of that. And then, we built something in fintech, which you might not have seen on my CV, for one of the biggest breakthrough to change in Nigeria. We also moved. So I gathered my skill sets along my life journey. But to answer your question very directly, the inspiration that made us start looking into One Mile was that when I moved to Portugal, I found it to be very necessary to volunteer at an organization called Lisbon Project. While I was volunteering at Lisbon Project as a job preparation mentor, by the way, Lisbon Project is doing amazing stuff integrating the diaspora communities and immigrants into the Portuguese system. So while I was mentoring at Lisbon Project, I realized that quite a number of my mentees were having a huge problem of access to alternative finance.
Mm,
When you leave your home country, you are leaving your credit history behind.
exactly.
When you move into a new country, you cannot approach the bank regardless of the amount of businesses you have done somewhere. So it feels like you're starting from scratch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in view of this, I realized that a whole lot of the immigrant communities under Lisbon project, or majority of the people that were assigned to me, were, they had skill sets that could transform their lives, but there was no little financial backing that they had that they could use to start something. And if you look at Portugal, the job index dropped so much that
Mm,
so everybody you see, if there was one job opening, you're gonna see over 100 people apply for that role. Over 500 people in some cases. If you go on LinkedIn and you apply for a job, you will never see anything less than 100, right? So I now realize that there was a need for alternative source of financing for these immigrants that have left their home countries to somewhere where they could make a better living for themselves. What was going to be the answer? I do not particularly have access to billions of dollars in a bank to be able to give loans or something to entrepreneurs.
mm-hmm.
I was very, very interested in building an ecosystem where people don't just believe that they can all they had, or all the options they had, was for them to go apply for to a 9 to 5 job, paying you a minimum wage. And over the weeks and months that passed by, I got more interested, and I started to see the skill sets in a whole lot of these immigrants that could be very valuable to even to the Portuguese ecosystem. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the supply chain, right, on the chain, once you become an entrepreneur, there's a way you are going to have to set up your company, which will be beneficial. You are going to be an employer of labor. You are going to be paying your taxes to the government, which also is going to be increasing, the economy of the country. So, I now realize that one way that we can be able to solve this problem is to create that alternative source of financing within the communities by themselves.
Mm,
So that was when we now went back to the long old tradition of the Rotational Savings and Credit Association, where people just outrightly just come together, pull funds together within their immediate trusted circle, and they usually use whatever they are able to pull together, depending on what the structure or whatever the agreements that they're having within their communities. Um, they now use those funds that they've been able to put together for the betterment and for the growth of their community members. So that was practically the how one mind came into it.
nice, 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 nice. So, what has been the impact on the users? How is this fund tracked? How is it ensured that people are using this fund for a business? Or is it just a means of savings? Or is it a means to start a business by this collective of funds that is being collected amongst different communities? So, I just want to understand what's the impact, or how is this money moved, and how is this applied to those people, those businesses, or those individuals?
In this new world of technology, there's a whole lot of things coming up. You are gonna see the buzz with AI and machine learning and all of those things. And then there's this other buzz that is actually beginning to grow right about now, which is the newcomer technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Newcomer technology is as simple as, a technology that is going to be serving the underserved community. A 10 million immigrants in the EU, you have over 1.5 million immigrants in Portugal, where I reside. Newcomer technology is something that we have particularly noticed. So that is going to be one of the top big things coming into technology right now, because a lot of people, a lot of verticals somehow are excluding the immigrant communities from their system, right? So the impact is going to be is already on our own platform. We are already seeing the impact with different companies out there that are particularly aligned with newcomer technology, right? But the impact on our side is even as a new startup in a foreign land in this ecosystem, is that people are going to be able to create something for themselves. And apart from that, we have partners, we have mentors on our board that are going to be supporting people in creating uh, in building their entrepreneurial skills that can make them create something for themselves, so that you are not just sitting at home and saying over 4, 5, 6 months every day you are applying for jobs and you are not being called and all of that. So you can now use your skill set to build your entrepreneurial skills and generate value for your prospective customers. So those are what we are looking at, and that is what we are already seeing with people forming savings groups on our platform.
So if someone is in Portugal right now that wants to join One Mind, what do you tell the person? How does the person join One Mind? How does the person start the community? Or can people save outside Portugal, or is it restricted to just Portuguese or
Yeah, for
immigrants?
now,
Yeah.
yes, for now we are on our customer segment is within Portugal, and that doesn't mean that other people within the EU are not able to start using our platform. So if you go to and for the fact that the European Union has one solid financial ecosystem, it is now quite easy for its. I mean, so for instance, our banking partners are not even in Portugal. So because whatever funds are not being held with us, because we are not an EMI, we are not an electronic money institution, but we are a distributor. As an electronic money distributor functioning under the EMIs, we our financial partners are not here. They are in Lithuania. You get,
Hmm.
so there's a huge financial system within the EU, so people can join from other parts of the EU. Yeah. Then subsequently, we will now be looking at how we can take our products to other parts of the globe. But for you, if for anybody who wants to form their savings circle, it's quite simple. You just go on joinoneby.com, you register, and then you create your circle, you copy your link, or you share whatever your group is, and you share it with your trusted circle. Sometimes, in as much as at one mind, in as much as the fact that we have been able to create different levels of risk mitigations for the safety of people's funds, we still very much try to educate people on the need for them to bring in people that are going to be that are going to be in their circle, to be trusted people, trusted communities, so that at least that there wouldn't be um, any lapses in people being able to make their own contributions, or before we can now jump in to mitigate, before we, in most cases, it is about when it gets to debt recovery or insurance and all of those things. Yeah. So first of all, so that's how simple.
So so more about One Mind, right? Because I also need listeners to also have to be how likely to have the confidence to know that once we put our money in One Mind, that our money is safe and the people within the community contribute, right? How is money disbursed? Or is there a direct debit to the contributor's account? Or is it a voluntary, or is it a manual deposit to the pool or the sum and the pool account? And how is withdrawal done? How is that rotation done? And if there is a failure in payment, are those funds insured? Who bears the liability? Is it the users or is it one mind? So I just want to understand that complexity around that so that people who want to sign up today can also understand, okay, if I'm signing up, these are some of the issues that might come up and how they can mitigate it.
Yes, for the growth and the magic that the platform has to offer is that of course there's gonna be manual payments. Sometimes payments fail. And of course, there's going to be the payouts are usually automatic. The reason is because our AI-centered backed platform usually disburses whatever. So their terms are on the platform that the groups and the community are going to set when they are the rules of engagement on the platform. So the group are able to mention different kind of things like the frequency of payments, the amount of payments, who uh, the lineup, how the disbursement is going to be done. So it is these things that we are using on our side
Mm,
to make payments. So once you have people making the payments, then the system automatically picks up the next person on the list, picks up the next person on the list, which must have been formed by the people in the group, right? So, and then in terms of payout now goes directly from the central pool, which is going to be linked with these people to the next person on the list. So that's
nice.
how the payout is.
Nice. That means none of the members of the list members have the right to withdraw from the pool.
No, 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 you don't. You don't. You just go directly into the next person's account. So nobody has. I don't even one might does not have the rights to that fund. So
Mm,
because we are not a withholding account, and by the laws of the EU, we cannot withhold money if you are not a safeguarding institution. So as we are not a safeguarding institution, the money is kept in some safeguarding accounts that are triggered by whatever the group is
that's yeah.
has. Yes,
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely.
that's
And again, that brings me to something, right? And I think we've been having this conversation. There's something that's quite that also stuck out for me. You joining the volunteer group in Portugal. Have you
mm-hmm.
had someone's story that has been transformational and that have touched you? And how has that story touched the way you see life, or how has it impacted your own journey to life? Yeah.
So I was there was this mentee that was assigned to me, much more of an elderly guy, and when he came to me, I asked him. He's also from Nigeria, and I asked him. I said, "Bros, what can I do for you?" He said, "I'm looking for a job." I said, okay, so what kind of job are you looking for? He said, any job, customer support, anything. I'm like, okay, but customer support. I said, but are you experienced? Are you an experienced customer support person? He said, no, but you can do it. I'm like, okay, so but coming from Nigeria, what skill sets do you have? He said he is a plumber in Nigeria. I'm like, plumber? Oh, okay. He said he is also an electrical guy. Okay, so you're a plumber and an electrical guy. Okay. So why are you looking for um a job in the why are you looking for a job in customer support?
So,
He said, yeah, because he needs to do anything. I said, but have you tried? Have you gone ahead to see how you can use your skill sets to make a living for yourself? Because I know, most importantly, you particularly need to be able to make a living for yourself right now. You have bills to pay and all of that. And then he said, I sat down with him over about 3 sessions, and we were trying to streamline and build him on how we can, how we can maximize the potential of being a plumber and an electrical guy. In one of our sessions, I asked him, I said, so bros, do you mean that right now, if I give you wires to wire a house for me. Can you do that? Can you? And I jokingly said, yeah, I said, And without the house being burnt down, he said, of course, that he does that. He has done that for, blah, blah, blah. And he has been to technical house training in Nigeria. And he also has, his team that works for him in Nigeria. I'm like, oh, no. And I said, okay, so if you if you want to listen to my own advice, I would advise that we build your skill set to align with the rules and regulations of the environment that you find yourself in. And then we looked into one of two trainings that you could do just to be, much more integrated into the Portuguese system. And then we outlined it. He signed up. He did the training. Um, Later on, he spoke to me. He was always giving me updates, and he said, "Oh, that like he is almost done with the training and all that." I said, "Okay." I said, "Bros, okay. So what are you gonna do next?" I said, "You are gonna need some tools, right?" Then I now introduced one mic to him. Of course, he already knew about one mic, and I said, okay, maybe if you have a group of people that you guys can come together, but just beg your people that you would like to be the first because you have urgency for money, right? So they formed a group, a saving circle on one mic, and then when he got his own payout, first of all, he got um, some money and he bought some equipment. And then the next thing he told me was, and I told him how to set up his go-to-market strategy, create some content and put it on social media continuously, create some educational content also, make yourself available, put it on some of our WhatsApp groups and all that. The next call I started hearing from him was that he was looking for people to join him to go and do some of these projects that he was already doing. So in a very short period of time, maybe about less than 4 months, he was already employing labor.
Mm,
So that was a very fantastic um result for me, who saw somebody who was going to go and get a minimum paying job, and
mm,
we were able to really work something that he loves to do and something that he has a skill set in doing. And also, with the support of our platform, he was able to pull some funds together and buy some
mm,
equipment. And he started employing labor, and he has already started paying taxes to the government, which makes it amazing. So that one
mm.
was one of the points for me. Yeah,
I think that's a good story. That is a motivation to keep doing what you're doing, to keep
exactly.
changing people's mindset that you don't have to settle for the least thing that you could get, that you
Exactly.
can explore and do a whole lot with your talent. I think this is quite inspiring. It's really inspiring, and I want to appreciate you for what you are doing with immigrants and the refugees in Portugal. And it's a great service to the community, and I'm really really grateful to that personally from my own end, and to all the
Yeah.
people you've helped. One of the last questions I want to ask, as a leader, what was that hardest decision as a founder right now with your team? You work with a whole lot of people. What hard decision have you made? And how do you make those hard decisions as a founder and as a leader?
As a founder, as a leader, you are always going to be making hard decisions every time. Um, my my personal argument is going to be that there's there's actually there's no clear difference between having, regardless of whatever you have within your team, whatever you have going on within your team, you can distinctively segregate all of them and put them exactly where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
1 second, me, I might be having a very magical time with you. The next second, I'm giving you very tough level queries. 1 second, I might be laughing with you. The next second, if we need to, you know, rationality is a gold standard. Rationality is a gold standard for human thinking. So if we are not extremely rational about what we're trying to do, there might be hiccups along the way. So I always make hard decisions because when you are building, you are going to hit roadblocks. You are going to have to pivot. You are
Mm-hmm.
going to have to change your direction. So there are so many numerous hard decisions that as a founder you're going to keep making. You might have people on your C level, you might have your co-founders who, who might be lagging at, some responsibilities or some deliverables. You know, you have to, at the point in time, make them understand that, yeah, this is not about being co-founders. This is not about being friends. Um, when, like just this morning, I'll give you a practical example. Just this morning, I was on the call with the development team, and I was telling them how important it is for us to continuously be um, um, liable for whatever we do and whatever we do not do. And I always do put myself in there too, not just because I'm a founder, but because if I do not get my deliverable right, I also have to be answerable to even to my development team. So our admin assistants can reach out to me and say, Mr. TJ, you have not done this. Since you are doing this since we are doing this to the other people, this also have to apply to you. So um, the generality of it is that we will always keep facing hard decisions, but there's no hard feelings. Don't worry.
You mentioned something that struck with me. Managing your co-founders, even when they are not meeting their deliverables. And how do you manage that? You've also worked as a COO for someone, and how do you manage your co-founders who might be your friends when they don't meet their deliverables? What's the best approach? What do you do to ensure, oh, yeah, my friend, but this is work, get it done. So how do you manage the friendship and also manage the work? How do you balance those two?
One of the things to get to people's minds, I always say jokingly, right? I always say, even in terms of growth, in terms of self-development, right? I like to feed people, right? So you see that maybe we're in the workspace, we're having some food together and all of those things. But once you are, even if you are my CEO and you are not meeting your deliverables, I usually have this laid down strategy and procedures to go around it. First of all, maybe I might shoot you a message, first of all, because it has to be in sequence. You cannot, sometimes you don't just want to shoot an email to somebody and just tell them, oh, yeah, this was not done, this, no, so blah, blah, blah. The person might find it offensive somehow, in some cases. But if you have moved past that, if you are not in that sphere where the person will find it offensive, you might want to do it gradually, want to shoot a WhatsApp message, first of all. The person is not if you find that the person is not forthcoming, you want to make a phone call, you move to the next level, you shoot an email, which makes it that there's going to be proof that these things has been said officially. You log it in. So once you log it in, and if that still is not coming through, then you now take it to the next level where you are calling for maybe like a co-founders meeting, and then you, in a subtle way, uh, you tender your case, which at least you have to ensure that the person is receiving it. Like the saying goes, is sometimes it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, right? So you have to ensure, because humans can be very um, sensitive sometimes. So you have to be sure that whatever message that you're delivering to them is landing on a soft spot, that they are not just hearing it, they are absorbing it, and they are carrying out the action. Because, as in most cases, as a founder, as a leader, you are not about the sentiments, you're about the results. So however you carry that result home is exactly your responsibility.
I agree with you. I will also say, as
Mhm.
a leader, it's not just also about the result. Sometimes one skill a leader needs to have is how to manage his people, because that's
Well,
the
you
most.
manage, so I'm not saying it's only the result. So you will manage it. You have to manage that situation first of all, and then you now put your eyes on the goal, which is the result.
Exactly. So the leader manages the people to meet the result. I think it's a very critical
Exactly.
skill that most
Yeah.
leaders lack, having to
That,
manage people. And lastly,
that,
someone have heard your story, how you pivoted your life in working for a Canadian company, Nigeria, now in Portugal, doing a whole lot. Someone wants to start a company, someone wants to be a founder, someone wants to make an impact. What would be your advice? What would you tell the person? And how come? Because from the story that you shared, this guy came in looking to become um an employee, but he said, no, 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 you could do something. What could be that limiting factor, that limiting belief that might be stopping someone listening to you right now, to say, oh, I cannot do it? How can you encourage? What will you tell someone who wants to start something? Maybe you could say, what was one book that you've read that had changed your mind, or maybe someone told you something that now changes the way you think at the moment of becoming a founder or becoming someone that owns something and is willing to build.
I mean, so for anybody who wants to start a business, you want to start, you want to build a startup, right? First of all, you have to, of course, understand that it's not child's play. It's a whole lot of things. You're gonna have to drink a whole lot of you are gonna be swallowing some ibuprofen, some painkillers along the line. you know. So I mean, of course, as I speak to you, my eyes are swollen because I've been looking at the screen too much. So but my advice is for that person is, first of all, you have to first of all remove sentiments from whatever you're building. A whole lot of us founders, we build for ourselves. You build inside your brain, and then that's where you begin to tell yourself that, yeah, this is a valuable product. No, did you ask your customers if it was going to be a valuable product? Did you speak to them? Why are you assuming for them? Do you think you're just gonna go on ChatGPT or Google and do some research and think that that is valuable? So you have to be very particular about how you are going to build your businesses or your startup. Also, you have to be very resilient. Additionally, there are some key points that I usually say, and I've been using these keywords to, for years now. I mean, when you have ideas, core things that you have to do is you have to leverage partnerships. It makes your life
Mm,
easier. Yes, so that you ensure that while you're leveraging partnership, you align because people are usually very afraid of things they do not know. People are afraid of policies. Carry out your research to understand what your policies are saying. It took us a while before we were able to get withholding houses, to partner with us too. I'll give you an example, a very quick one. When I moved in here, I was going to open a company's account, and I went to a bank. But because I'm from Nigeria, but I mean, thank God Nigeria just came out of the international fraud list. Um, and the bank manager was looking at me and he asked me, what country was I from? And I said, Nigeria. And he said, oh, okay, that they have to do extra, um, they
mm,
have to carry out extra background checks on me. I mean, I'm like, okay. I said, and I jokingly said, I said, yeah, please go ahead. You have, what we are trying to do right here is to build something for your economy. And, jokingly, and after a while, they did their background checks and all that. So a lot of people are usually still very afraid of, what they do not know. But there's nothing stopping you from knocking on that door and getting to understand what is happening on the other side of the door and ask your questions. So when you do not need any clarity. But all you need to do is to start. All you need to do is to understand that there are no you try as much as possible because you can 100% do that to understand that there are no pillars that are not movable. So once you know that there are no pillars that are not movable, then you start to build, you start to iterate, and then over the days and over the months, over the weeks, you're going to be getting a whole lot more clarity that is going to support you and drive you forward in your journey.
thank you very much. I think you said a whole lot of key nuggets I want to highlight. First is choose your partnership right. which would have
Of
led to
course.
my next question, but that'll be a conversation for that time, how to choose the right co-founders. And on that note, get that you also dropped it. Stats, nothing is stopping you. You
Yeah.
get clarity as you move on. You don't need to. Ideas today are cheap, but you make
Definitely.
out, yeah, you make ideas. What is more expensive is execution. You make ideas, you give them life when you begin to
Mhm.
execute.
Yeah.
And I really love those nuggets. Your last word to people, maybe your last advice, any book that have changed your life you might want to recommend, or is there any failure in your life that became a blessing or that changed the trajectory of how you do things today? Just share and then we thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I am much more of I learn a lot from, from YouTube. I am a very huge YouTube person. But there are particular things that are needed, for you to be able to sustain your growth. Um, I I know I was listening to Rory Sutherland from, I think it's a British guy from the UK, where he was speaking about perspectives, right? And he mentions and the YouTube video was, the title of the video is Perspective is Everything. How you see things particularly really matter to how you are going to approach it and how your
Mhm.
execution is going to go through. Have a very clear perspectives when you're trying to create stuff, and then yeah, the rest of the things are just gonna fall in place. Build a very strong perspective, and you're gonna be fine. You are gonna fall, but it's not how you fall. It's you're picking yourself up and rebuilding and moving forward.
Thank you very much, TJ, for these wonderful insights. It was a lovely conversation, and I'm really glad to have you today at the FinTech table. And thank
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank
joining
you,
us
Michael.
today. Yeah,
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. It was a
thank,
pleasure. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. I think we
So
should do this again sometime.
I'll stop the
Maybe,
recording there.
maybe, yeah, we should